Hello all, I'm Devdutt Panda. Welcome to my channel. So in this video, part of our CKAD practice exam series, we'll see a question on existing deployment. So where we'll modify the deployment for scaling and we'll add some labels to the pod. So let's see the task we are trying to do it here. So the task one is that, as I say that, we have a deployment, so which is at this moment running as a one replica. So we need to scale it to 3 replica. Then the second part is that we will add a label to the pod. Task 2 is to create a service out of it. So where we'll expose the deployment on that service. So we have some values. We'll use the port 80 as a target port, and the service port also 80, and the node port is given a value. In case in your exam if you didn't see the value, so there is a range is there, you will need to select one of the port and see that. And once we do this task, we'll verify that the service we are creating is able to access it. So let's look into the hands-on of it, and let's go in from there. So let's, before jumping to do the hands-on, we'll see what are the solution approach you can take it. So to scale a deployment, we can either use a imperative command or you can edit the deployment to update the replica value. So we'll see both method. Uh, the way I will suggest that if it's only a scaling, you can always use this. But if you got two tasks like with scaling as well as to add the label, you can always edit it and can put the value there. So again, as I always say that whatever you feel comfortable, do that. But I feel that like as you are going to anyway add the label, so we'll do these two together, but just to make sure that the alternative approach is there, so we can follow it. And the step 3 will create a node port service. So either you can directly create your YAML configuration file to do it, or you can use this command, imperative command, to create it, and later probably on this command we'll edit it and we'll add the pod template label, so that the pods will be selected, the things you modified in that. So let's now go into the hands-on and see that how it is working. So I try to open both the terminal and as well as the document side by side, just to see that we can see the commands we are taking it from the documentation and then doing the modification. So let's first check the deployments in our existing namespace. I got deployment. So I'm just doing in the production namespace all these things. Okay, I just put an extra n. Okay, we can see there is a deployment is there front end. Let's see that like how many pods I got into that. So if I see that I'm only running one pod. So as say that I always suggest that when in your exam, always try to open the kubectl reference document, so which is always a time saving, and in the other tab you can open one more in case you need to go to the config file. So I will try to show it first, the command that I say that the scale, that should be the scale. Let me just find it out where it is. Yes. So if you see that scale is for like you're scaling the pods, okay, the replicas we are not creating out of it. So in this case, if you see this command, if the deployment name MySQL current size is 2, scale to MySQL to 3. So we can use this, okay. Let's just try to copy this command, okay. So in our case, the deployment name is front end. So we got how many replica? We got one replica, and we're trying to create 3 replica, and it's in the namespace production, okay. That's great. So the scaling part has been done. So that's a task 1 and part 1. So also we need to add a label So let's see that how to do it. So we will go KAD deployment. Our deployment name is front end, and in the namespace production. So okay, just in case, as I said, that if you're doing in your config file also, you will have a replica here. The replica we change it to 3. Earlier it could have been 1. You could have done it here also. Like, okay. Now when it asks to create a label, remember this point is quite important. Is asking to do a label for the pod. So we need to do it at this level. Okay, the spec template metadata. So it's we are trying to create a label at this place. So remember that it is for the pod it is asking to create it. Okay, so I just remember it. Tier is web. Okay, so it's created, the front end is edited. Just in case, if you don't know, like if you need to refer to the document, you can always do the deployment and can go through the documentation. So to see that, like what like in sample where you can see that like it's adding your nginx or at this level. And this is sometime we get confused with this label, but this is for the matching the labels. Okay, and if it asks to add a pod label, so we can do it at this place. So now let's just verify that what we created, it's already been there. Okay, so we'll just get the production. Okay, we can see that now it has been scaled. We can see 3 products. Also we can check the labels. Okay, so labels. Yes, we can see. Yes, these are the labels we added. This is already updated, so we can see that. So with this we completed our task 1. Now let's go and look into the task 2. So task 2 is talk about that we need to create a node pod service. There are a couple of ways. Okay, so from the documentation also I'll try to show it to you to understand how it works. So node port is something expose a service on its node IP at a static port to make the node port available. Kubernetes set up a cluster IP address and the same is requested type cluster IP. Okay, so let's just see that one of the configuration. And also whatever I'm telling on this configuration file, you can do it through the imperative. That also we'll see. Probably we'll try to execute the command to get the base config file. Then we'll add the label that we have added part of our task 1 exercise. Let's go and see it. So yeah, type it's node port. Okay, so can I just, yeah, I got it. So if you see this config file, either you can directly copy this config file, you can create a service out of it. Like you need to change the service name, what being asked in your question, and with the namespace, whatever being asked. So you can see the default port is like normally is 80. So probably it will be like the same. Otherwise, if it asks a particular value, you need to see it. The target port is an optional field, like which if you can put the same value. And the node port, you can see that it start from this from this number to this range. So you need to define one. In case if it didn't ask, you need to select one of the number between the range and put it. If it asks for the value, you can set it. In case if the practice exam asks for other type of service, you just follow the documentation and just do it accordingly. So the other way to create the node port service is to, like, we'll see the documentation. In create, you can see that service node port. So where you can see that like you can copy this command, like kubectl create service node port, like type node port. Then you need to give the name and the TCP port. That's what we see, the 80, and the target port if it is defined anything. And the node port also we need to see it. So I already copied this command. Okay, so let me just try to see it. So what I'm trying to say that, so I'm just in the same format, I'm just trying to create a service of node port, the service name, whatever being asked for that. My TCP port is 80 to 80, that is the port it will be exposed in 80, and the target port is 80, and the node port is 80. Okay, I need to do this thing. Okay, so the node port I'm exposing uh, on this one, and my namespace is production, and I'm just doing a config YAML file, and I'm like, like giving the output to 3.yaml. Okay, let me just okay. Okay, so let me now open the 3.yaml file. What is there? So we can see that it given the name, namespace, everything has come. Port is 80, protocol is TCP, target port is 80. See, this is the value we need to change now. Okay, the value you will change, if you remember, we put tier as well. Tier is web. Okay, so now we need to apply this file, okay, to create the service. You can see this service has been created. So okay, describe service, service name is this one. Sorry, and it's in the namespace production. Okay. So you can see that, see the service, and these are the endpoints. We got 3 endpoints because we got like 3 replicas, like adding to that, and type is cluster. Okay, step of the steps of the task. So this is the last task we are trying to verify now. The service we created, we are able to access it. So let me just find out my so this is the cluster IP. I got it. So I'll do a curl command, curl http. I'll access it. The node port we created is 30080. Let's see it. Yes, we can see now we got our the page we created. Now in your exam, if they want to ask you to verify that, they will keep the service. So few things, part of this what I try to show it to today to remember. One thing is that of course scaling is up to you, that you want to use imperative commands or directly want to modify in your deployment config file. The second part, when it asks to add a label, make sure that you do it at the pod level, not at any other level. So that's thing. Service, if it asks for a node port service, that I have shown you the example. In case if it asks for other service, you can follow this the documentation and can do it. I hope you find this video useful, and in case if you're preparing for a CKAD exam, all the best for your exam. Do subscribe to my channel for the upcoming videos. Thank you.